Yes, guys, I'm Sai. Welcome to Ace Podcast Nation, and this is another Cardiff City preview as we look ahead to the big game at the weekend. It's Ipswich Town versus Cardiff City, and really looking forward to this. Ipswich have made an electric start to the season under Kieran McKenna. They play some great stuff, made a couple of really interesting signings, and it's looking good. Unfortunately, they did slip up last week for them. Capitulated a little bit in the first 20 minutes or so, found themselves 3-1 down against Leeds, made a bit of a comeback, but still lost the game 4-3, whereas Cardiff picked up the first league win of the season to check against Sheffield Wednesday with a late winner, and then continued that good form with an impressive victory away at Birmingham with a lot of changes in the squad, players in contention and whatnot. So let's look ahead to it. We'll start off with Ipswich. That Leeds game, Leeds showed what a great side they are going forward, but they're also ropey at the back. I think Kieran McKenna would have been a bit disappointed because they've made such a good start to the season. So then to be 3-1 down in such a short space of time would have been really frustrating. But then to follow that up with, look, let's be first and foremost, I think Kieran McKenna at the start of the season, if you'd said going into the international break or going into the Cardiff game before the break, you're going to be, second place or within a point of second place, going to be happy with that. Got a home game ahead of the international break. They will look at it on paper and think Cardiff are very beatable. However, Cardiff, as I've said many times, they have been playing very well. They were undone by a late goal versus Leeds, which denied them an away win. They were undone by a late goal against Leicester, which denied them at least a draw. They were very poor against QPR. In the two AFL games, they've been pretty good. Some players standing out in particular. So it's going to be interesting. Ipswich will play, they play really good football. They like to get it down and play through the parts of the pitch, around the sides. They got a bit of pace and they've made some good signings, as I've mentioned earlier on. I think Brandon Williams is a really good signing for him. I think he'll probably come in because I think the manager will be a bit disappointed with the way the team performed, particularly in that first half. Williams was quite impressive on the weekend as well. And like him and there was another guy who played. Getting those minutes in those legs was important. I'm not sure that they'll both start, the new signings, but I do think Harry Clark was the other one. I do think Brandon Williams has got a good chance of starting on the left side of defence for them, but obviously they make changes for the League Cup. But I think Ipswich will certainly be looking to finish this part of the season, going into the international break with a big win at home to Cardiff City. And why shouldn't they? They've started the season well, very difficult to beat. They're normally very difficult to break down. They do concede goals, but they're difficult to play against because of the way they set up. They're very solid. They play good football. They build from the back, get it wide, fullbacks overlapping, wingers on the ball. Number 10 is very clever. Connor Chaplin is a really, really good player. I like Broadhead as well, but Connor Chaplin in particular I like him a lot. He's a great footballer, very skillful. Pacey, but he's clever, reads the game well. And I think Cardiff will probably have to keep him quiet to have a chance of picking up any points on their travels. Okay, so let's have a look at Ipswich Town and how we think they'll probably set up. So I think obviously Headlarky in goal. I think Clark will play right back, Wolfenden and Burgess as your centre backs. And then I think Brandon Williams will play left back ahead of Davis, with Davis dropping out. Then you'll have probably Morsey and Lungo in the middle, and then just in front of them you'll have Burns, Connor Chaplin and Broadhead with Jackson up top. I think I suppose there's a slight chance Ladapo could come in for Jackson, but I think ultimately Jackson's been doing quite well for him up front, so I'd expect him to retain his place up top. Let's have a look what I've got to add for Ipswich Town. So yeah, that's Ipswich, but we're all here for the Cardiff side. Let's have a look at what we think. Look, Cardiff City have been very good this year, but haven't really got the points to show for it. The EFL game on Tuesday versus Birmingham, away at Birmingham, there was a couple of players who really stood out. In particular, Ruben Corwell was absolutely excellent, man of the match display. Superb on the ball, superb movement off the ball. His vision was exquisite. And you can see why he is the manager's understudy to Aaron Ramsey. Look, I'm not suggesting that he's going to displace Aaron Ramsey by any means. However, what we do have is O'Dowd is out for a few weeks. Bowler's out till after the international break. They're your two first choice wingers. So then you've got to choose between Robinson. We're not sure what's happening with him. He doesn't seem to be fit. You've got Grant, you've got Mate, Ugbo, and then Ruben Corwell. I would suggest that Ruben Corwell, probably on his performances, is the one that deserves a start, even though it's not my preferred thing for him to play wide. When you look at those players, Carlin Grant, I think, as well, is in a starting spot. But then Tanner as well. Sorry, I forgot Tanner. Has been excellent, and he absolutely should have started last weekend. I think Jamalu Collins could maybe do with a break. But then it's the international break as well, so it's difficult to predict. We'll have a look at the team in a minute, though. But Cardiff have been playing really good football. One thing which stood out in the Sheffield Wednesday game last Saturday was the new signing, Manu Siopis, the Greek international. He took a little while to get going in that central midfielder role and the defensive midfield role. But once he got going, boy, oh boy, was he impressive. Picking up the ball well, reading the game, so clever with it, able to carry the ball, able to switch the play so quickly, find the wingers, find the further midfielders further forward. Real asset to the team straight away in his first game. The fitter he gets, the more I think he will encompass what the manager wants to do in terms of building from the back. He's the guy they want picking up the ball, giving it to Joe Rawls. Joe Rawls then is the man who they want to be playing through the lines and into the gaps to get the ball carriers or the dribblers on the ball, or your Aaron Ramsey's to make something happen. But what Siopis did, apart from his own performance, is he released Joe Rawls to play his natural game and to dictate play. He played almost like the Stephen McPhail role, knocking it about nicely, playing through the lines, transitioning play from deep to forward. And Siopis himself has got an unbelievable switch passing him. Really, really great ball, long ball. But I was really impressed with not just Siopis' individual performance, what he brought to the team. It improved everyone, made the defence look better on the ball, but he just released Joe Rawls, and Joe Rawls looked like the Joe Rawls of 4 or 5 years ago. It was exciting to see, I've got to say. How will Cardiff be able to beat Ipswich? I believe they've got to keep doing what they've been doing. Some of the football they played on Tuesday night, albeit with some rotated players, they had a few first teamers in there, is play like they did. The movement off the ball was sensational. 1-touch, 2-touch passing. That's how we got to beat them. When we win the ball in the midfield areas, is to transition into that counter-attack super quick. Get in behind the fullbacks. Get Aaron Ramsey on the ball and then play it inside. Get the underlap or the overlap going with the fullbacks and really put Ipswich under pressure by our movement off the ball. The running and the movement off the ball was what troubled Birmingham on Tuesday. And I believe that we have troubled all teams. Leicester, Leeds, even QPR, but in a smaller test pool. In every game, when we've got that movement off the ball, we've really given teams something to think about and really put them under pressure. And actually, I thought against Birmingham away on Tuesday was the first time that it really clicked for a prolonged period of time. Ryan Wintour's goal, by the way, was a sensational team goal. But just before that, we had a chance, which the keeper saved. But it was like 15 passes or something. It was superb, great movement. And that's what they've got to do, is they've got to win the ball back high up the pitch and then transition into the counter-attack really fast with movement off the ball, 1-2s, triangles, and got to be clinical. Because Ipswich, they'll be expecting it. They will have watched that Sheffield Wednesday game. They will have watched that Birmingham City game, and they'll be looking for that movement. So you've got to get your Aaron Ramsey's, your people like this who can really unlock defences on the ball. Let's talk about Cardiff City's predicted team, and this is what I think the manager will pick, not necessarily what I would go with. So the keeper's an interesting one, as I discussed previously, because I think they brought Runnison in to be the number one on loan, but I actually think Alnwick's performances have been so good, and he's dominated his box. He's done everything right. He deserves to keep his starting place. So I think absolutely going into the international break, he deserves to keep his number one spot. So I'd go Alnwick in goal. I got a feeling we might see NG and Romeo as the fullbacks. I think Jamali Collins might get a rest. He was particularly poor against Sheffield Wednesday, but you've got to give him time. He's coming back from such a long-term injury. Centre backs will be Mark McGuinness and Gutas. It is an interesting one because we've now released Simpson by mutual consent, so we most definitely need a defender. Please let it be Axel Tuanzebe, but we've been linked with a few, so we'll see. But we need a central defender because if one of them two gets injured, we are, like it's NG or no one. So NG, McGuinness, Gutas, and Romeo. I think Siopis will start, and then it's basically whether you go with Rawls on the back of his Sheffield Wednesday performance, which was outstanding, or you go with Wintle, who was great when he came on against Sheffield Wednesday, and he was great against Birmingham City. I think away from home, you need a bit more control and a bit more physicality, a bit more protection for the defence. Ipswich are very good going forward. So I would go Siopis and Wintle as the two. Ramsey at number 10. Tanner will be the one winger. And then the final wide play position is a really interesting one to me, because with O'Dowda out, with Bowler out, you got Tanner on one side, absolutely deserves his start, and then it comes down to Robinson's probably not fit. I would go with Carlin Grant as the other winger. I thought he's looked really sharp against Wednesday and really sharp when he's come on. So I give him a start. Grant on one wing, Ramsey number 10, Tanner on the other wing, and then up top. So I've talked a lot about Ugbo's link-up play not being good enough, and I've talked about when Robinson is fit, Robinson's got to be that guy unless we bring in a Kiefer Moore. However, what Ugbo has over Atete is Ugbo has got a knack of being in the right place at the right time and to pick up goals. So, against my better judgment, because I think actually the better option is Mate. If I was picking it, I would pick Mate. He's a much better link-up play. I think his finishing is not as good as Ugbo's, but his link-up play is much better. So for the team, it's probably better. But I think ultimately, if Ugbo starts, he's got to start through the middle. I don't think you can play him wide. So I think the better options wide are Tanner and Grant, like I said. And then I play Ugbo up top because I think he's just got a knack of being in the right place at the right time to score the goals. So let's go with that. And then you've got the likes of Mate, Atete, Colwell definitely come on at some point. Colwell's unlucky not to get a start, but Tanner's banging form. Grant's been good. And I don't really want to see Ruben Colwell wide. I think he's so much better playing through the middle off the striker. So that's where you're going to get the best out of him. That's where he's excelling in the EFL games. So that's where he's got to play. Predictions for the game. Look, it's interesting because the form for both these clubs is pretty good. Cardiff have won 3 of the last couple of games. Won 2 of the last 6. Cardiff have won 2 of the last 6 games, and Ipswich have won 4 of their last 6 games, although they've lost and drawn games recently in the last couple. I think it's going to be a very difficult game. With successive wins in all competitions, Cardiff are going to be looking to really push on and start to see the manager playing the way he wants to play, and I think we have seen that since. So it's going to be really interesting. This is a step up in quality. However, it's a step up in quality from Sheffield Wednesday. It's not a step up in quality necessarily, and probably Birmingham in terms of Birmingham rotated a few players, but it's not a step up in quality to Leeds and Leicester, who we've already played. So I actually think Cardiff have played better teams than Ipswich this season, even if the table doesn't say so. And I think I'm going to go with 2-1 Cardiff City, but I think it's going to be really tight, and I wouldn't be surprised if it finishes 1-1. But we'll go with 2-1 with Ruben Colwell to get the winner off the bench. Feeling confident. But guys, these previews are brought to you by our Patreon, patreon.com/AcePodcastNation. If you can spare the price of a bag of chips per month, you get exclusive content, rewards, all sorts of different stuff, discounts on merch, discounts on future live tickets, things like that. I cannot tell you how much it helps the channel. It really, really helps us out. Allows us to book studio time to film our other content. We've got new series coming. We've always got like several podcasts a week on various subjects. And the Patreon is so important to the development of this channel. So please do spread the word. If you can join, please join. Join us for the Monday night show where we talk about all sorts of wild stuff. It's a lot of fun. But most of all, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for getting involved with the chat. Please do leave a comment. Tell me your predictions. Tell me who you think will play, start, who's the danger man, and we'll go from there.